Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so far we've got our app set up. I'm running the emulator up here. We just took some time to do our labels that we put in that had the text in them, and then we named our second and fourth label in this horizontal arrangement, correct label, incorrect label, something of that nature. So what we're going to do today is we're going to add some functionality to the app. Right now, basically all it does is answer with text whether or not you got the question correct. And it also does not yet keep track of any score. So for example, if I hit Roosevelt for the answer to the president who implemented the New Deal, it's going to tell me I'm awesome, but there's nothing that changes on the correct or incorrect. So I'm going to go to my next question. Carter was the president. Use this. Let me give the wrong answer. Let's do that. Carter was the one who granted China formal recognition, but if I hit or type in Nixon, I get incorrect sorry. And so far it's not doing anything. So what we're going to do, in addition to adding some functionality to keep track of how many correct and incorrect answers we have, we're also going to do a quick text-to-speech feature that tells you whether or not you got this question correct or incorrect. So to do that text-to-speech, we'll just nail that down real quick. We need to go to the media location on the left side here, the media palette or the media menu, whatever you want to call it, and you'll see text-to-speech about a third from the bottom. So you want to drag that over to your app, and then it's going to go down at the bottom so that we now have that functionality available. So to do the text-to-speech, it's really pretty simple. All we're really doing is adding that functionality after our questions when they are asked. So right now we have a real simple action. When the button answer is clicked, we're looking to see from our answer list whether or not it matches any of our three answers. And depending upon which one we're in, which question we're in, it's going to tell us in the label correct that we're great if we got it right. And if that's not correct, then it's going to skip the then portion of the if statement and go to the else statement and tell us we're sorry, or incorrect, sorry. So what we want to do here is we want to just add some text-to-speech to that. So if you go down in your block section to the very bottom, you'll see text-to-speech, and it gives you a whole bunch of different actions. We want to grab call text-to-speech, and then we're just going to put a little message in there with our text feature. You can put whatever you want in there. So I'm going to choose to put the word excellent twice. It's a key scene in a Seinfeld episode with Newman when he's getting ready to take out a cat for Elaine, and she agrees to his plan. He says, excellent, excellent. Doesn't sound quite as good with the emulator, but we'll give it a shot. And then for the incorrect, again, I'm just going to call the text-to-speech, and I can copy this and just paste it. And I'm just going to put no soup for you, which is also a famous Seinfeld reference.
From the Soup Nazi?
Soup Nazi, yes. Yeah, so we'll try that. So I'm going to save this. Should be able to just go over right to my emulator and try this. So the president implemented the New Deal. Was Roosevelt. Let's answer, see if it works.
Excellent, excellent.
It's working. or if I get the wrong answer,
Listen for you.
all right. So make sure you added that functionality to your app. So that's pretty simple right there. So now what we want to do is we want to set this up so that we can get some ability to keep track of the scores. So to do that, the very first thing we got to do is we have to declare a global variable. And we're going to drag that in. We're going to call that global variable global correct answers. Remember, your first word is lowercase usually, then the next two words are capitalized.
What did you call it?
Global correct answers. Turn this off, makes it easy to see.
What if you type that global correct answers where it says name on the text box?
Yes, would, good catch.
What?
You would have put that, you put it in a text box instead of right there.
That's the guys. So yeah, you would put it right here. Global correct answers. Way to be on it. Now, what we're going to initialize that to is actually a list. So we're going to choose make a list. We're going to add one extra list item to that, so we have 3 items in our list. You know, what these correct answers are going to be, they're not going to be text documents, they're going to be actually set as false. Okay, and the reason for that is what we're trying to do is keep track of whether or not any of these correct answers has been answered up to this point. So when the app first starts, none of the correct answers have been given, so it's false to begin with. We're going to go ahead and initialize that list to all false. So the way we test this, did you guys get that initialized?
Yeah.
The way we test this is to do an if statement. Okay, and we're going to have an if-then statement. Okay, and we're going to add to that if-then statement also an else statement. So we're going to put that right at the top here. So it's just going to be an if-then statement. There's no else in it. It's just an if-then statement. So what we're checking for here,
According to the video, it shows it in that block, like right under if. Someone have the video
let's see here. Where it's down there. Yeah, we had it backwards. So first we're checking to see if we've got the correct uppercase answer, then we're going to do our if-then statement. Good call. So what we're doing is we're going to check our item list to see if any of the correct answers have been chosen up to this point. So we're going to first select a list. So go ahead and drag that in there. And what we are selecting first is our global list or global correct answers. Okay, so we're checking that entire list, and then we're going to check the global index. So I can actually just copy and paste this get global index. Let's see if I can paste it, or I can just come over here. Okay, so we're checking all the global correct answers, and we're checking the actual index, which value in those correct answers has been answered. Now, the thing we're going to add to this, okay, is we want to see if the answer has not been answered yet. So we need to add a not statement to that. So I'm going to drag this not to the beginning of that. So it's going to say if in the global correct answers, whatever index is answered has not been answered yet, then we are going to go ahead and set our label correct text at this point. Okay, so at this point what we want to do is we need something in the then statement there. So we want to be able to add 1 to our label correct in our designer so that we can basically keep track of the fact that we have the correct answer. Okay, and with the not statement, what that's doing is if somebody answers the same question twice, okay, for example, they put Roosevelt twice for the New Deal, it's checking to see whether or not it's been answered. Okay, so the only way that it's going to add 1 is if the answer has not been answered yet. Okay, so at this point it hasn't been answered, so we need to add 1 to that label correct. So here's how we do that. So in the label correct, okay, mine's called the correct label. I'm going to set my correct label dot text to and I want to add to this a plus statement.
Is it the correct label or the number correct label, like that 0, or is it the correct label? Because I thought the correct label is what reads incorrect or correct. Like, is it actually what reads it? Like what types it out?
No, he's doing the number.
Okay, he's doing the number one.
Number label, yeah.
It's
I did
just
the
a
one
correct
right.
label, and
That's
they're
what
so
he
close
means,
and
it's
it's
not
stupid.
Yeah, it's not. It should be the. Okay,
Label
so
correct.
what I have is it's not incorrect. I have. Let me see what I named these here. So this one here is. Let's see. I named it correct label, so that's a little bit confusing on my part. So.
Do I have it?
I think that's just a naming thing, depending upon what you named your other.
Okay.
So I have. Let me see what else I have over here. I have label question.
We just have it backwards.
Yeah, that was a little bit confusing on what I initially named the first label from the first part of the project. Okay, so we need to add to that correct label. Okay, right now we just have pretty much a 0 in there, which is nothing more than text. So I'm going to go to my math function, and I'm going to drag a plus to the set correct label dot text section of code. And what I'm going to do first is on the left side in my correct label. So yeah, I see how that can be confusing. I have label correct is what I called my initial one, yeah. So I'm going to do my correct label. So my correct label dot text, and then I'm going to add to it the number 1. So at this point, basically I have one correct answer, I get a number 1 there. Okay? Let me test it real quick and see if it's working up at this point. No functionality right now for incorrect, but let's try correct.
Excellent, excellent.
See, I got a 1 there now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so what I have to do now is, now that I've figured out that this is correct, I need to go back into that global correct answers list, figure out which one of those index items was answered correctly, which in this case was the first one, and I have to set that as true. So if I were to answer it again, it's going to see it as true, that it's already been answered, it's not going to give me another point. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my list function, and I'm looking for, probably down toward the middle or so, middle bottom, replace list item. It's going to have list, index, and replacement. I'm going to drag that under the set correct label.text. And what I'm doing, the first two things are the same two things as what's in the if not statement above, the global correct answers and the global index. So I just need to go back to my get statement in my variables. First one's global correct answers, the next one is global index. So it figures out which one of those three was answered, and then we replace the current value, which is false, with true. So now when it looks through that index value, it sees it's already been answered, it's true, it's not going to give us another point. So if I go back to my app, and I again answer Roosevelt.
Excellent, excellent.
Wait a minute, it did it. So let's figure out why. It's still true. Remove this. Extra. Still going to say excellent, excellent either way. Let's see here. Just make sure everything's in the right order. Let's replace this title with index. Placement. True. Let's come back to that. Let me do the incorrect list too while we're here, and then we'll take a look and see. Maybe you guys can troubleshoot a little bit, see if I made a mistake along the way. What's up? You're on camera.
Yeah.
Film today's lesson.
All right. Hey.
All right, so for the incorrect label, let's take a look here what we want to do. Okay, so for the incorrect label, it's just a matter of, after the bottom call text-to-speech, we're going to go to our, mine's called incorrect label. We're going to set the incorrect label .text to, and what will we set this to?
That math thing again, so the
Okay.
incorrect label plus 1.
Yeah, so instead of correct label, it would be incorrect label. Plus 1. Because if I answer this incorrectly,
No suit 48. No suit 48.
So it's also adding to our incorrect label. So let's check and see if we have everything in the right location here. All right, we'll pick up the rest of this tomorrow, finish up with this lesson.
I just wanted